Alright, welcome to a little bit of a just look at lossless scaling. Version 2.5 and above now have a new feature that is frame generation, or more like a frame interpolation, meaning that it will the game renders two images and then it creates one image between. This is not like DLSS, this is not like FSR's frame generation. Those games hook into the games and, uses game data to do a better image in between. This just takes two pre-rendered with HUD, everything, a snapshot, and then creates a middle one. Much more like televisions that takes, 24 frames per second video and, and then make them smoother by just, taking two images, creating images in between from those images. This is kind of exactly pretty much the same. If you don't like that soap opera effect, this might not possibly be for you. If you don't think that latency is good in any frame generation type, DLSS or FSR, probably not going to be good in this one either. It is recommended for best experience to use this with like 120 frames per second and then doubling it to 240, because then you will the latency impact is not too much. I've tried this on 60 frames per second games and stuff, and then have it doubled to 120 frames per second. That is my monitor's refresh rate. It works fine for me in that scenario. I did try a little bit of 30 frames per second stuff, but then we are not what I would recommend. But depending on how latency sensitive that game is, it might be fine for you to try. But I recommend 60 frames per second or up. So for this to work, let me showcase a little bit of the settings here. I'm gonna do that here quickly. We're gonna go to showcase, to my camera, and you know what, I'm gonna just keep OBS. It's fine, it's gonna look weird. So in the bottom right here, this part here, this is the interface for lossless scaling, right? And the main thing here when you are using the frame generation stuff is that you should lock the games or whatever you are to half the refresh rate of your monitor. So if you're gonna use 30 frames per second content, your monitor should be running at 60 hertz. If you're gonna, games and stuff like that at 60 frames per second, you should lock, your monitor should be 120 hertz and your game should be locked either by within the game or with like a frame limiter or something to limit it to only be 60 frames per second for best frame time, best smoothness, best latency. This will use a bit of your GPU, not super heavy, but it will be, an impact, so it might not be good for like modern graphic heavy stuff. For me personally, this is great for emulators and games that are indie games that for some reason are locked to 60 frames per second. I think that is great, and mostly for me, for 2D games, I think they aren't as impacted by it. So first off, lossless scaling by the name, what it does, it takes a windowed pretty much and upscales it to a full screen. It works with borderless full screen and windowed mode only, not exclusive full screen will not work. And this should be safe to use with multiplayer online games, but it's not anything that, I can say yes or no to. How lossless scaling work is that if you play your game in a borderless windowed or windowed mode, it will kind of capture the image from the game, and then it will either upscale it to fit your monitor and overlay that, or it will take two images from the game and then will create one extra, and then it will show that on your monitor. So this game does not hook in to your game. It just captures the snapshot. More like OBS is just display capture from OBS, like it's just taken an image, then it's manipulating that image pretty much. So first off, by the name, you can use this for upscaling if you for some reason feels that the built-in upscaler or isn't good enough, you can use this one. Or if the game doesn't have a good upscaler at all, you can run your game in window mode. You can use this one. Recommend to set the automatic and aspect ratio. If you want to do more advanced stuff, you need to read into it. Try to compress this video. You can leave this to auto, leave this to aspect ratio, and I'm trying to see something here. I'm missing something. There is something missing. Oh, wait a minute, my bad. Right, window mode. I wanted to showcase that. So, windowed mode, I recommend you to not mess with if you're using custom mode. This pretty much, will not make windowed mode or borderless full screen. It will not make it be full screen. It kind of works sometimes, but mostly not. I recommend you to just use automatic, keep aspect ratio. You use full screen, it will stretch it to cover your entire monitor, no matter the aspect ratio. So keep it just to aspect ratio and you will get black bars, but the game or content will be, looking correctly. So scaling type. So here you have different types that you can play around with. The default is LS1. You can use the performance mode if you have an built-in GPU in your processor or something like that to minimize it. You probably don't need to enable this unless you have a low-end graphics card or, a built-in. For most discrete, normal graphics card, you probably don't need it. So if you have your game, whatever, emulator, content running in a window mode, you can, use this one. You can try different upscaling modes to get more of a crisper image. But for frame generation only, you don't need to use this one. It is this one that you need to enable. Its default is off, so you need to enable that. Since we're gonna use, I'm gonna discuss full screen only. You don't need this pretty much turned on. I think it's on by default. You can leave it on or leave it off, shouldn't matter. This just means that your cursor cannot go outside of the game window, but if you're gonna game in a full screen, should not be a problem. We're not gonna discuss, don't mess around with too much of these settings because those are bound to cause problem. HDR support might work. You're gonna use a game with HDR. I haven't tried it, so I don't know. VRR probably not good with frame generation, so might be good to skip that, but hey. Double buffering, and if you have low performance, this can give more performance, but you will get worse latency, so pretty much shouldn't be using this for frame generation. Low tearing might mean that the screen might get like a horizontal tear, but you will get minimal latency. I'll recommend you to tick this box with frame generation, and if it looks good, keep it on. If it looks terrible, in some cases you get a very bad tearing, try with this unticked, but start with it ticked. Legacy capture, if it doesn't work with the game or whatever, but probably not mess with that one. Draw of FPS should be a safe one, good to start with, so you can see that it works. It should be pretty obvious anyways, but hey, if you keep this, you will get in the top left corner, you will get a little bit of an FPS meter, and it should match your monitor's refresh rate. So this is very important. If you're using some other FPS overlay, they will not be correctly displaying, the output FPS. That is because MSI Afterburner, for example, they will measure how many images is, or frames per second, is the game outputting. And again, lossless scaling is gonna capture the output frame, and then it will, create the frame generation stuff and that after. So yeah, so that's why they will not match. Draw FPS within lossless scaling should match your monitor's refresh rate when everything is working correctly. So you can keep that as a safety thing to just, okay, this, is it working? Is it matching my monitor's refresh rate? Rest you should not need to mess with. If you have more than one monitor, you might need to tick this multi-display. Obviously, crop should be self-explanatory. If you want to, for some reason, crop stuff away from your window, let's say if you have something running in 16:9, but you want it to be 4:3, that could be done. Or if you have something that is 4:3, you can crop it to make it 16:9 or whatever. So obviously, yeah, this is if you have more than one GPUs, should not be necessary. Same for this, if you have more than one monitor, might be, something to mess with. But this is the basic thing. You run your game, your emulators, whatever. You have it in a borderless full screen mode, and you don't need any scaling. You put the LSFG, the frame generation, on. You allow tiering, draw FPS, then you run the game or the emulator, and make sure it is in a borderless full screen, and then you press Control Alt plus S to activate it, and you should be getting in the top left corner a little white FPS meter that should match your monitor's refresh rate, right? One thing I'm missing here is that I cannot change the color of the meter because I prefer a different color than the white. White can sometimes blend in. So that is something that could be good to be added later on to this application to let you customize the color of the FPS meter. And you can also have this one start, with Windows, minimize trace and stuff like that. That is personal things to mix and try if you want to do. So that is how you get this running. Now, if you're running like an emulator or a game in a window mode, you can then try to turn this one on, try these different scalers, and you just have the window mode game running. You're in there, you press Ctrl Alt S, and it will make it full screen borderless window. And obviously that is very easy to see if it's working also. You don't need draw FPS to know that lossless scaling is kicking in if you do that method. But it's good to still have draw FPS on when you're first trying it out, just to see that it's matching your monitor's refresh rate. For this one, I'm gonna go with off. So again, this is the thing. I'm gonna do some quick, just maybe 1-2 game here, but you don't need to watch any more of the video. You can just try this yourself. There's no demo or anything, but Steam does allow you to get a refund if you don't use the application more than 2 hours. This is just to help you get started. Wanted to make you aware of this. One note before I send you off that don't wanna keep on going watching, that is in a way pointless, but maybe not, is that you can also use this with media players. Like I use this for a VLC. It's very nice, and you can upscale videos, get smoother, just like the TV. If your TV, there are applications like, is it Flash Player or SVP or something that can do the same things, maybe a mad VR filters, but this is a very easy way. And again, you don't have to use the scaling, but I think it could be nicer than using just the media players built-in scaling. It could be nice to do this one. You have an special animation 4K filter good for anime content. So all you need to do again is just start VLC. A good thing is to make the interface minimal, or turn this one off and just make the video full screen, Control Alt S, and it should do its magic. If you have the frame generation on, you don't need to have allow tiering on, should not be on for that one. It's not necessary. Draw FPS can be good just the first time, to verify that everything working. Double buffering, again, when you're using it for videos, it shouldn't hurt, but it might or might not make any difference whatsoever. So the most important thing is that you don't use enable allow tearing if you're going to use it with like VLC or any media player. The other cool thing is that it also works with like web browsers like Chrome, probably Edge and others. Again, you can watch a YouTube video, make the YouTube video full screen, and as I have here, I don't have any scaling on, but I have disabled allow tearing, and then again, it will work for YouTube videos or Twitch videos. It Kick, the new Twitch clone, pretty much most of like the online videos that are probably not copy protected, it should work with. You can try that. It's really nice for, especially for Twitch. I think it was really cool to be able to enable that for a bit of a smoothness. So yeah, really cool. So I'm gonna try this with, you have an emulator that you see here. I'm gonna try it as a showcase. But again, since this is the thing, obviously my monitor is 120 Hertz. I'm gonna run the game in 60 frames per second or something like that. And every second frame is gonna be a bad interpolated frame, and every second is gonna be a good frame. So if I capture this, I might be able to just capture all of the good frames. You will see nothing of the interpolation. Yeah. Or you might only see the bad frames and it will look worse than it is. So you don't really need to watch this, but I'm going just for science, quick, maybe 1-2 emulator like games quickly showcase, and just I'm gonna explain how it feels to me, right? Input, latency, if I feel any, if the smoothness. But thank you for watching. I wanted just to showcase this, get you awareness out of this. It's a great app. $67 or euros is the current price. Good to catch if you're going on a sale. It's on Steam. It's for Windows at the moment, only Windows. Again, this is very different from DLSS 3 or FSR 3. It's not the same. This is kind of worse. This is more like the motion manipulation in televisions. Be very clear there, it will affect latency like in every or the current states of the frame generation. So if you're sensitive to any of those things, might not be for you. But thank you for watching. You can leave a thumbs up or not. You can leave a comment. I might not answer or not. You might, if you have a question about this, it's good to ask on the Steam page for this application. And stay tuned if you just want to see some quick and dirty recording here of Emulator, like a game or two. And yeah, thank you for watching this far. Do this. Since I like these techniques, I wanted to get this attention to this one. And obviously the best way would be if emulators could incorporate stuff like this within the emulator itself to minimize all kind of effect on the performance and latency and stuff like that. Might be coming in the future, maybe. Who knows? I don't know if this is like a freeware like library that can be implemented, but also I think it's really cool that the AMD, I think it's like the 7000 graphics card, has built in this in driver. I wish that Nvidia will release something similar. They haven't done it so far. So this application is a great thing for, Nvidia users, or if your GPU doesn't support anything like this, or your application doesn't have anything like this. So let me see. We're gonna get into Yuzu, as I had a profile made for Yuzu. So let's get into Yuzu here. So again, you might get only the good frames, only the bad. You can get a very weird mixture. So just to showcase something anyways, but you need to try this yourself. And I recommend 60 frames per second content to 120 or above. 120 FPS, and then add, if you have a 240 Hz monitor, yes, smoothness, latency shouldn't be really that much of a factor or anything. I'm gonna get into game here. I'm gonna switch over to showcase this in a second here. get it up running before I'm switching scenes. This is going to be a 2D Mario in the Switch emulator Yuzu. Stable audio. I'm gonna have to do a weird thing. There we go, to get maximum frames. Windows things. Let me get that Mario. Yes. Let me switch to this. So this also is one thing to note. If you want to capture stuff with this running, there are two ways you can do it. One, you can just capture your game like normally, but then you won't capture the smooth frames. That might be really great for, let's say, if you have a dual monitor setup, you might, play with extra smoothness, but you will only capture the game's, the game's original frames, the best frames, the good experience frames for the viewers. So I could do, game capture, and I could select Yuzu, I can do this. Now you don't get, if I were to enable lossless scaling, that wouldn't be captured in OBS, which is a good thing. So, you can use lossless scaling and you will get, some of the ghosting effects, but your viewers will not get those because OBS is now only capturing what Yuzu is outputting, and lossless scaling is going to be on top of that. So just as an explanation. So I'm going to have to be able to use display capture, right? Because now it's going to capture every, output frames. Well, 60 frames of my 120 frames is OBS going to capture it from the desktop here. So I'm going to go here and we're going to go full screen. Hopefully capturing is going to work fine here. Gets into a map. So lossless scaling is not turned on. You know what? Let me verify. Okay, I am in it correctly. I'm not using any scaling. Good. And only frame generation. I have a low tiering and draw FPS. So here we go. Oh, right. An enemy hit me there. That's fine. Let's get back to it. So if you're using and want to capture if you're like playing a emulator, a game or something in 30 frames per second and you want it to be, if you want to capture that with OBS, you need to capture the display capture, right? Okay, fine here. It's running at 60 frames. As I can see here with MSI Afterburner, it is perfectly fine here, Frames, I don't have any problem with input latency here. So let me remove Afterburner. Well, no. Let's keep it on here. So you can see I'm using 30% of my GPU here. So Control-Alt-S. Now I have a little bit of a meter in the top left that says 120 frames, meaning that it's working, it's outputting my monitor's refresh rate. And I went from 30% GPU utilization in Yuzu with some upscaling to 4K and adding a little bit of like anti-aliasing like SMAA and stuff like that. And I get a penalty of about 20% GPU utilization on my RTX 3070. It is, bit demanding, but nothing too crazy. Let me turn it off quickly here. It also uses about 300, megabytes of VRAM. See that? All right. So now I'm most likely getting worse latency. I don't see any problem with tearing here. It feels good. It is much smoother. You might not see anything of it. Ghosting artifacts here is nothing that is bothering me. The smoothness though looks really nice. And that's why I think this is really nice for 2D stuff. Ghosting is not generally that bad in 2D games, in my opinion. Oops, you son of a gun. So this is just going to be some quick and dirty test, and you're going to have to, unfortunately trust me, because again, since there is 120 frames being, being rendered to my monitor, OBS only captures 60, and it can capture the bad or the good frames. I can see that it loses a little bit more of a blurriness feeling here, but it is minimal, and I prefer this over the less smooth feeling. I turn it off again, bit of sharper, but it doesn't have this smooth feeling to it. And again, this is a game where I would like good input latency. So turn it on again. 20 frames, there we go. And it looks so smoother. And it is just something that I really enjoy. So this is perfect for me for 2D games, especially for emulator games that, tend to be locked to this, 60 frames, or maybe in some cases 30 might work, but again, 60 frames for me is what I'm gonna be using it for. And it feels so nice here. So there you have it. Do that. We come this way. Let me see if I can showcase something more. Are you sure? Unfortunately, oh, there we go. Oops, on scale, there we go. I forgot to turn off the scaling there. Bad. Hopefully it didn't get recorded, my weirdness there. So yeah, it's also a good thing to try to remember to, turn off scaling before switching to other application or exiting the applications. But yeah, nothing like major happens here for me. So let's see, do we have something more that we could be good to showcase? Yeah, well, yeah, I do guess we have a 3D Mario game that might be good to showcase. So let's try that. This is the wrong one. This. You're watching still? Thank you for watching. Obviously, this is the part where it's more about you need to listen to me and do you think that you might like my advice, that you trust my own opinions, because it might not be recorded in any way correctly. Start here, see, get into that one. There we go, thank you. Bowser's Fury is what is coming up here. Just a quick test. Because I want to showcase like a 2D game, which is the perfect, I feel, and then 3D. So here we have 3D game, full screen. Nice, it's smooth. Let me turn on frame generation. Go. Yeah, a little bit smoother. It still looks perfectly fine here. I don't see any really crazy ghosting that bothers me when I'm playing. So I would say that it can work for 3D stuff too. But the more like crazy the 3D stuff is, the more problematic it most likely is gonna be. Yeah, but it adds smoothness. I really think, like, for me, like, emulators are really the high point, highlight of this application for me. And then again, some indie games that are locked to 60 is, you know, for me. I don't think I'm gonna go for 30 to 60 FPS because latency, yeah, we start getting into bad territory. And also you get more ghosting and smearing and bad picture when you go from such a low frame rate. Again, if you are playing games, you know, using this for like 120 Hz to 240 is going to be really, probably really nice. Just, you know, latency is going to be perfectly fine and you will just get a bit of an extra smoothness, less artifacts, but this just looks great here. It feels really nice, really smooth. It looks, you know, I don't have any real problems here. Just is really nice. Let me turn off frame generation again. Yeah, I can't really tell a huge difference here. Just looks a bit smoother, everything. When Bowser Jr. is moving. This, close this down, yes. I think I don't have a lot of more stuff to really showcase. It's just working really nice and well. So I do know that I have one thing that I could maybe showcase, but I don't know if that's good to do or not. Yeah, so probably I'm just gonna do a quick run around here to see if I have anything really nice to showcase. So most of the emulators that I've tried, like, was Dolphin, Citra, Manafan. Games that are running in 30 frames will be outputted at 60 frames by the emulators, which is interesting. How many? That's 50 frames, right? Or, well, we can maybe end by showcasing this one. Another 3D thing here. Takes a bit long to get in here, but it has a lot of effects, and I think this is a 30 frames per second game. But yeah, Dolphin will output it at, there we go, will output it at 60 frames. So we'll see, it might not look as good or anything to you. Can I do this? You. Yeah, this. I was trying to, there we go, render window. Nope. Typical settings. Okay, there we go. Okay. I wanted to do, well, it shouldn't matter. Let's see. Let's go into, let's showcase. Time attack. So this should be a 30 frames per second game. Let me do that. Gonna go full screen here in a second. Do we have a screen? Right. There we go. Full screen. So no, this is a 4x3 game. It is, you know, not being... Yeah, I can feel this is, you know, 30 frames per second game here. Not as smooth or anything. Interlacing and everything is fine, but it definitely isn't as smooth as, you know, the other games. So let me just quickly roll Alt S. Oh wow, just the smoothness, you know, look is really big. It feels like input probably works fine for me here. Oops, maybe. Hard to tell in this game how bad the latency is going to be here, but whoa. Seems doable at least, but it's just, this is a game changer for this game. The smoothness is incredibly nicer. The only thing that, you know, if this were something that was built in, like, whoa, in the emulators, they could, I know that are, I forget, retro Rs that can like pre-render like the game frames for like minimizing input latency and stuff. If they built this into the emulators, they could maybe use some kind of that technique to get even better latency than you using it, you know, on top of the emulator. It would be nice if emulators were starting to looking at stuff like this and entering that within the emulator itself, but that was a huge difference. I'm just curious to see one final thing here. So obviously, you know, you have to trust me. That was really, really big difference. Like that pretty much went from this isn't really that pleasant to play to, oh my god, this feels, you know, feels good. Obviously, the latency could be an issue there. Just curious to see, is it this? Let's see. This is going, is it 60? This game is not running at 60 frames. Right? Just not doing that. Let's end with this one. So yeah, it says 60 frames per second down below, but I doubt it is going at 60 frames per second. Yeah. Input here is fine without lossless scaling, frame generation on. Good. Let's turn, oops. Frame generation on. Holy moly. Yeah, this made a big difference here. This made a big difference. This is so much more pleasant to play. Still not a perfect or anything. Oops. Tried to do a trick there. Latency though feels definitely not a problem here. It feels really nice, the latency. So yeah, let me maybe, oh, oops. Yo. Oh, I'm just curious. It's fun just to try this one, but yeah, for emulators, especially, you know, the more older ones, Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Sega Mega Drive, even like some PlayStation 2, GameCube, Sega Saturn, you know, those, the Wii U, this is gonna be really nice, I feel like. What was it? One of my classic fun games. We're gonna have some fun. Again, thanks for watching. Will be the last one I'm doing showcase of. Or more like, again, don't judge what you see, more what I'm explaining to you, I'm feeling. Gee. Again, I have turned down the audio because it might be very different audio levels between emulators and stuff to not, you know, get any problems with that. So this is without frame generation on. Woo. There we go. Looks nice, plays nice. Just gonna play a little bit here without the frame generation. Here, this is a whoa. Okay. Hey. Oh. Oops. Stay away. Stay away. Stay away. And let's here on this nice little one turn on frame generation. Woo! Yeah, that is smooth. God damn. Ah, I messed up. Come on, jump, jump. Doon, doon, doon. Been a while since I played this one. Definitely a really great game here. Simple graphic, but really nice game. Bye, Toad. Oh, wow. So when I'm playing, you might... Whoa, that's a fake one. You might see... Like, if you're not playing, you can definitely, you know, might probably see ghosting. But when I'm playing here, it's nothing that sticks out to me. There are definitely ghosting. I know that because I've tried this while watching Robocop, the latest Robocop game, being played by, you know, my own video, just trying a little bit on YouTube videos. And damn, and it definitely, the crosshair was super ghosty, just like in the FSR, DLSS to FSR frame generation. And I also seen it in others that it was, you know, ghosting effects. But when I'm playing here, it's nothing that sticks out to me except for the much more appreciated smoothness. Smoothness here is just so nice and great that it feels really, really nice. Again, the capturing might only capture the bad frames, the generated frames. So you might not get what I get here. Keep that in mind. And you might not get any of the smoothness feeling, right? Since it might only capture 60 frames here. You're not getting like full smoothness experience that I'm getting. Just something to really keep in mind. And that's why I like said that, you know, hey, you could have exited the video without watching this part, because it might be difficult to really showcase what's going on. But playing it like this, I don't feel any like real problems with like latency or anything. I am just enjoying the smoothness. Ooh. Which is really nice. No! Oh, god damn you! Oh man. Well, that was terrible, unfortunate. Ooh, so yeah. Again, thanks for watching. You can leave a thumbs up, thumbs down. Go check this one out on Steam. Lossless Scaling. I ask question in the Steam forum is probably the best way to get information. If you're more curious about this, you might leave a comment if you like. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Check back to the channel if you want to see more Let's Play, Let's Tries, or sometimes stuff like this that is just really fun to highlight and try. Right, I know there is a shortcut here, but I'm terrible at getting it without the mushroom. I could have saved this one also. Definitely could have been a good one to have. It is really nice just playing this. It is so smooth. Oh, come on. Freaking, who put the banana out there? I'm not doing well here. You can make this without this power up, but this helps a lot. Obviously. There we have it. Thank you for watching. Ooh, that was a fun little memory. Trip down memory lane. This is such a fun game here. I had a ton of fun. So yeah, thanks for watching everything here. That and lossless scaling. Again, this is good base setting if you don't want to use any upscaling options. If you're gonna play a game in borderless full screen window, no, this is a good starting point. This is just for good measure to know that it's working. In the top left, you will get this FPS notification that should match your monitor's frequency. If you're playing in a window mode and you want to use the scaling of this with or without the frame generation, all you need to do is have a window mode, obviously. This is good options for that also, and then enable your different scaling option and try and play around with that to what you prefer. Have different settings here. Play around with. Integer and nearest neighbor is very good for sharp 2D pixel 2D games. Other than that, you can just try the one that you like. So yeah, thanks for watching and have a great day till next time, and bye for now.